7 people died in that room, all in October, all alone, and when Fujimoto Kenji pressed his hand against the door handle, something on the other side slowly pressed back. The road that closes. Behind you. Part 1 of 4. The mountain road to Kuroyama Resort closes in the rain. My mother knew that. She chose to live there anyway, for 53 years, in a building that the rest of the world could not reach when the season turned. I am 78 years old, and I drove that road alone in October, 3 weeks after her funeral, because there was no one else left to do it. My name is Fujimoto Kenji. I had not been back to Kuroyama since I was 19. There are reasons a man stays away from a place for nearly 60 years. I told myself the reasons were practical. I know now that I was afraid, and that some part of me had always known why. The resort sat at 4,000 meters, the last structure before the ridge, a 3-story wooden inn that my grandfather built in 1931. My mother had managed it alone since my father's death in 1978, 8 guest rooms, a kitchen, and room 9 at the far end of the top floor hallway, which was never rented to guests. My mother had told me that simply room 9 is not for guests. I had not thought to ask why until it was too late to ask her anything. The drive took 4 hours from Matsumoto. The road narrowed to a single lane above the first switchback, and by the time I reached the second, the guardrail had disappeared entirely. There was nothing on my left side but gray sky and the tops of pine trees 200 meters below. I had forgotten how final the mountain felt. By the third switchback the clouds had come down around the car and I was driving inside them. My headlights cutting 3 meters of white fog and then nothing. When Kuroyama appeared, it appeared all at once. The dark wooden gate, the stone lanterns unlit, the sloped roof disappearing into cloud above. I parked in the gravel lot and sat for a moment with the engine running. The building was exactly as I remembered it, which should not have been possible, because nothing stays the same for 60 years. The wood should have grayed and warped. The roof tiles should have shifted. Instead it looked as though time had moved very carefully around it, leaving it untouched. I found the spare key under the second stone lantern, where my mother had kept it for as long as I could remember. The front door opened without resistance. Inside, the smell hit me first. Cedar and incense, and something beneath those smells, something older, like water that has been standing too long in a closed room. The common area was exactly as my mother had kept it: the low table, the floor cushions, the scroll painting of a mountain heron on the far wall. Her reading glasses were still folded on the table. I could not look at them for long. I had brought a single bag. I intended to spend 4 days, catalog the estate, arrange for a lawyer to handle the sale, and leave before the October rains came. I had not planned for what the caretaker's letter said. It had been waiting on the front desk, addressed to me by name, written in a hand I did not recognize. I sat at my mother's table, in the silence of the closed mountain, and I read it. It was 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph listed names, 7 of them. The second paragraph listed dates of death, all in October, all in the same room. The third paragraph said only your mother made me promise to tell you before you slept here. Do not sleep in room 9. And then I made the mistake that I suspect every person who has ever read a warning like that makes. I went upstairs to look at the room. The hallway on the 3rd floor was dark, the paper screens on both sides casting no light because there was no light to cast. The windows at each end had been papered over from the inside with old newspaper. I walked to the far end. Room 9's door was closed. There was nothing remarkable about it. Plain wood, plain handle, the small brass plate with the number 9. And yet I stood in front of it for longer than I intended, because the air near that door was different. Not cold exactly. It was the absence of warmth, which is not the same thing. It was the feeling of standing next to a window that has been closed for years. The glass perfectly still, perfectly sealed, and something on the other side of it pressing very gently outward. I put my hand on the handle. I don't know why. I did not turn it. I stood there with my palm flat against the metal, and I felt something I cannot explain without sounding like a man who has lost his mind. I felt it turn, from the other side, slowly, as though someone on the other side had placed their hand over mine. The handle moved beneath my palm, not from me, not from the wind, and from behind the door of room 9 came a sound I will spend the rest of my life trying to unhear, a slow, wet clicking, like a knuckle cracking, once, twice, 3 times, moving toward the door. That's it for part 1. Follow Untold Lores for part 2. Like and subscribe for daily stories.